Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today I'm going to recap a 2004 drama romance movie named My Mother. So let's begin. Upon returning from the Catholic boarding school, a young boy, Pierre, is brought back to his father's island in Spain. He dislikes his father for reasons best known to him, and he thinks his mother may try the worst decision by being with his father. While in the car home, his father tries to speak to him. He tells him it's unfortunate that he got to meet him when he is in that position, and he was not that way before. He claims he is still a good person. He is just unable to show it to others, despite all of his father's words. He insists he has other things to attend to and asks if his father is done with the conversation. His father concludes and tells him that with time, he says his mother is tired these days, and with time he will understand. His mother is also the same kind of person as he is. He comes out of the car and goes home. As he walks home, his father asks to help him with one of the heavy bags he is carrying, but he refuses the offer. He gets into the house. He is welcomed by their maid, Martha, who hugs him passionately and tells him she has missed him. She helps her with his bags and comments, "The bags are heavy." His father informs him his mother is upstairs. Pierre goes upstairs and goes to the pool as he sits by the pool. His mother sneaks behind him and pushes him into the water. He stands up from the water and Helena, his mother, welcomes him. Later, the family sits for lunch, and during his lunch, Helena tells him she wants to go to the market. He asks to follow her, but Helena refuses to take him along and asks him to check around the city, or probably go to the beach. Later that day, Pierre takes a tour of the desert. He sits there watching almost all the tourists having fun and walking on the sand. Later, he returns home and finds his mother in a very bad position on the balcony. His father tells him Helena collapsed, but he refuses to believe it. He asks Martha if Helena collapsed and his father hit Helena before he angrily walks into the house. That night, his father comes to meet him in the room, probably with the intent of talking to him before he can call the sleeping pair's attention. The glass in his hands falls and he tries to pick it up. He tells Pierre to be careful when he stands up the next day, and he leaves the following morning. When Pierre wakes up, he goes outside his room and sees his mother. Helena tells him his father has traveled to France for a business meeting. He asks where exactly his father went to in France, and if it's nice, as he knows his father's mistress isn't nice. He tells his mother that his father has gone to meet his mistress. He tells his mother that he doesn't care less. He says he enjoys being home alone with her, and when his father isn't around, he will have his private time with her. Later that day, he walks around the city, but he is still bored with the way the city is. He returns home to meet Helena playing a game with Martha. He angrily asks Helena why she is staying in that city, and says there is nothing there, and he doesn't know why she hasn't left. She replies that he only feels that way because he is bored, and if he gets to know the amazing things in that city, he will change his mind. She tells him she will take him to the aqua park and the Yungbo, and when they are done they will have a nice dinner. She asks if he doesn't want to go out with her, and asks if she is now too old for him. The plan sounds so well to Pierre. He asks her if they will be going out that day, but Helena says it's another time. He hurriedly goes inside to find a perfect cloth before he comes out. Helena has left. Later that night, Helena returns home in sexy black clothes. She jumps into the pool to wash herself, and when Pierre comes to her angrily, she tells him to bring her a towel, and says they have all the time to themselves. That night, Pierre returns to his room and tears out some papers to create a cross shape. Then he prays the Holy Mother prayers on it the following day. When Pierre wakes up, he meets his mother, looking downcast. She tells him his father has had an accident, and his father's body is at his grandfather's home, so they will travel to Dante's. She knows Pierre won't feel bad for the situation, so she tells him he should at least feel down when he is talking to Martha or any other person. But he doesn't need to cry. He comments that she is still young and can start her life again. She tells him she doesn't expect that type of comfort from him, and calls him an imbecile. Later that night, they both go to a club. At the club, they watch the boys there shouting, singing, and opening their private parts. She tells him that when they were in Istanbul, everything was sweet about them, but in Spanish, everything was boring. She tells him that if he wants to know her, he must know her as a slut, a whore. She asks him if he has ever wondered why she isn't always at home during the day, or why he was brought up at his grandparents' house. It's because he is a whore and her husband was comfortable with it. So if he wants to know her well, then it's better he knows her as that. She joins the boys singing, and she sees him by the water. She goes to join him there and convinces him she isn't drunk, and they eventually return home. She speaks to a doctor about what Pierre feels, but the recommendation doesn't go well with her as she is about to go out that day. She gives him the key to his father's study room and asks him to take whatever he feels is useful in the room and dispose of the other useless thing. When he enters the room, he finds several collections of sex magazines. He looks at them, masturbates and urinates on the books. She later takes him to a bar where they leave with one of her female partners in the taxi. The Lady Ray strips herself naked, and Helena persuades Pierre to kiss Ray and suck her breast on another account. They visit the jumbo bar she has promised him during the show. She kisses him and leaves with Ray. Pierre tries to find her, and he later collapses by the corridor. She sees him while she is with Ray, and she tells Ray to have sex with him. Ray goes to Pierre, removes his clothes and proceeds to give him a blowjob, and then have sex with him, while Helena watches them with so much longing in her eyes. As they go home that morning, she engages her son in an orgy with some of her friends. They all collapse naked on the bed, and before she wakes, Pierre returns to the lady. They had an orgy with Hansi and starts touching her. While Hansi responds to his touch, he has sex with her. As Helena wakes up, she also goes to touch Hansi that day, thinking of what he has done. Pierre leaves the house in the rain, jogging around and reading a Bible verse when he arrives home. Helena says he is too young and has seen what she is. She tells him that's what she wants him to remember her as and tells him they can't live together. After Helena leaves, he goes to a desert where he sits alone and wanders alone. He returns to his house where he lives alone, and the following day he sees Hans in his pool. He asks her how she gained entrance into his house, and she tells him she came to return Helene's key, and she allowed herself inside. They become friends, and on her next visit, she brings along friends, which Pierre thinks are weird. He calls her aside and asks her who her friends are. She says she knows only one of them, which is Lulu, and reminds him he was the one who said their conversations would be better in groups. He makes coffee for them, but asks her to send them off. Later, he meets with Hansi, and they have sex after their intercourse. He asks her about Lulu, and she tells him Lulu is her childhood friend, and she can call him their slave. Meanwhile, Helena continues her lifestyle with Ray, although she misses Pierre. One day Pierre writes to his mother, and he talks about how Hans's ass makes him feel better than the days he was closer to God. Hansi arrives at about the same time and reads the letter. Her countenance changes, so he asks her if she is angry that he wrote the letter. She replies otherwise, but asks him what they are doing, and if he wants to leave her. She tells him about how his mother made her a prawn for the tourist, and the first encounter at the tourist hotel he had with his mother, and how the man told Helena to do everything she wanted on her body. He couldn't take the words, so he tells her to stop talking. They try forceful sex with recreate what she felt with Helena, and he promises her they won't do it again. Helena starts missing. Ray tells her Pierre has gotten lost in Hans's hands, and that he no longer remembers her. So she returns home. She finds him and Pierre together, and with sincere jealousy and longing, she asks him if he would like to sleep with her. He replies he will do it if she wants to. They go into the room with a collar, and she asks him to cut her abdomen. She tells him everything they are doing is wrong, and stopping it is wrong too. She asks him to masturbate on her, and she cuts off her throat. The officers come to park her remains. Later, Pierre goes to the morgue where he sees her corpse and masturbates beside her. The attendant sees him and forcefully carries him away while he screams, "Mom, I don't want to die." The attendant carries him away and the movie ends. So I hope you enjoy the video. So click any video on screen now and enjoy next. And don't forget to subscribe our channel and hit the like button. Thank you for watching. See you soon.